and I request Sri Kamdana to escort Sri Dr. Samant. I now request our convener to proceed further.
Hello. Good afternoon to all. Respected senior in profession, fellow colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have gathered here for third study circle meeting in year 2015 and 16. Friends, we are moving towards the GST era. That is the most uncertain part. For that, it became inevitable to study the statutory provisions of the GST. Hence, I will restrain myself saying further anything. And today we have lectures on the subject matter, 122nd Constitution Amendment 2014, its necessity, usefulness and impact on proposed GST. And for that, we have learned advocate Ratan Kumar Samant. I request all of you to kindly welcome
Now, government is bent upon to bring this GST at the earliest. So far as GST is concerned, there are two parts. One is the procedural, another is the legal. So far as procedural part is concerned, Empowered Committee has formed a joint committee and they have issued at presently 4 process on GST business. That is, one is registration, payment, refund and returns. These are the nothing but the recommendations, their suggestions to the drafting committee. Friends, on these 3 or 4 process, on 20th October, central government has organized one workshop and that is arranged by our Maharashtra Sales Tax Department. Various parties like from industries, various associations, they were present. From STPM, they are STPM and Sales Tax Bar also. From STPM, myself and our Vice President Dr. Shishant Dol, from Sales Tax Bar, Ashwin Acharya and Deepak Babar, both were present. Under that workshop, various commissioners from the West, there is Gujarat, Goa, they are all officers. They were present and they have presented rather one by one. And thereafter, there was an interaction between the audience and the audience speakers. While question answering, we, the STPM and our Ashwin Acharya also insisted upon one point when the point of audit was raised, and there was a request that audit should be given to all practitioners. That is our demand. So they say, okay, we will think about it. So now, friends, the process is on. This is the procedural process. A legal process is that to implement this GST, it is necessary to amend certain provisions of the Constitution. That is a very root of the GST. Unless this is amended, GST will not be implemented. Therefore, this government has introduced 122nd Amendment, Constitution Amendment Bill 2013. So what I thought, our members should know the basics of this, and therefore I titled the sum as its impact, utility and usefulness, and I requested our today's learned speaker to give the gist of this amendment and its utility also, how it will be affected for the proposed GST. And therefore, we have chosen this subject to begin with on GST. I now request our convener to take the highlight further.
Hello. It is a great indeed pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Advocate Ratan Kumar Samal. Sri Ratan Kumar Samal's areas of practice include both direct taxes and indirect taxes. He holds a law degree from Mumbai University and practicing as an advocate since from 1993. He was an ex-professor in New Law College and KC College of Management, Mumbai. He had got an opportunity as an honorary lecturer to teach the inspector and class 1 officer of sales tax department in Mumbai from the period 1998 to 2002, and during his lecture tenure he received the best lecture honor for all the tenure. He got an opportunity to appear before the Honorable Maharashtra Sales Tax Tribunal as a senior counsel on behalf of the state of Maharashtra in some special matter which was served by him from 1998 to 2002. He regularly appears before the Maharashtra Sales Tax Tribunal, Gujarat Sales Tax Tribunal, Income Tax Appellate Tribunal, Mumbai and Bombay High Courts. Even in the recent past, as a legal aid, he had fought case before Honorable High Court against IIT for admission of disabled candidate for higher education, which is widely published in various newspapers. At present, he is the Secretary of Sales Tax Bar Association. I read it. At present, he is the Vice President of Sales Tax Bar Association. I again humbly request you to all kindly welcome Sri Ratan Kumar Samal. I request our President Vijay Sajasai to offer a memento and flower bouquet as a mark of love and token to Mr. Sri Ratan Kumar Samal.
Vice President, Secretary, and other office bearers of the association, my senior friends, and other colleagues. It is in fact a pleasure to me when this association calls me to deliver on certain topics. In fact, today it gives me an immense pleasure that the act is not at all implemented, and I got an opportunity to talk on the subjects. Yesterday, some of our chartered accountant friends met me in the department and said that, "Saab, हमको constitution में क्या सीखना है?" I said, बहुत कुछ है उसमें, आप आओ अटेंड करो। हम constitution की बात नहीं करेंगे। I will talk the practicality in that angle. I mean, in practicality angle, I will touch the constitutional aspects. I am not a constitutional lecturer, so that I will deliver a constitution provisions. Here, in day-to-day affairs, what sort of provisions are there and how it will affect the GST, and what is the necessity in the constitutional amendment, we will talk on that. We are practicing in the sales tax. Our grandmother is Indian Constitution. So whatever our grandmother permits, we have to act accordingly. Now, so far as the taxation law is concerned, we should not forget one article, that is Article 265. most important article. Only one sentence, but thousands of judgments daily out coming on that various high courts and Supreme Courts. That is Article 265 says that no tax shall be levied or collected except the authority of law. Very simple to hear. No tax shall be collected or levied except the authority of law. So there must be an authority, either authority with the center or authority with the state or at the panchayat level or at the local level, municipality level. There must be an authority to impose tax, to levy tax and collect tax. Without that authority, no one can impose tax. Now, how to derive authority? Then Constitution further says that there are three subject matters are there in the Constitution, in the 7th schedule. That is union list, state list and concurrent list. Union list, there are some certain subjects are there, like since we are in the taxation field, levy of income tax, levy of excise, central excise, levy of custom duty, and various other issues like stamp duty, framing of the penal provisions, all these aspects are in the union list. Similarly, the state list also, there are certain subjects are there. And in the concurrent list, the third list, both state and the center have the power to make law. Now, to get a power, the entry should be very clear and specific. If entry is not specific, then there will be a confusion and jumble while framing the law or while implementing the law. Then the judicial review will come. Judicial review means court will interfere that you have not made proper law on the particular entity. Therefore, while making a new law, the legislature or the parliament has to give a great thought to these entries and their respective power. Now, undoubtedly, we are having a local sales tax legislation, which is known as VAT, as I told you, that comes from the state list. And similar way, service tax is there, that is under the residuary power of the parliament, under which service tax is also imposed. Now, by this enactment which are going to be clear by the legislatures, which is known as GST in common parlance. So in the later course of my speech, we will touch other aspects, but in common it is known as goods and service tax. Now, you all are aware that center is imposing tax on the goods which are manufactured, that is excise duty. That is under entry 84 of the union list. Center has made the law, that is central excise law, and they are imposing tax. In the similar way, under the residuary power, entry 92, which is the residuary power given, on that basis service tax is imposed by the center. Whereas state is levying tax under state is entry 54. Now, by this GST, if they empowers the state to collect even the central excise, put it in this way, to collect service tax, state authorities, as well as tax on supply of goods, then in such circumstances, an amendment in the constitution is must. Because state has no power to make law on the subject where center has to make law. As I pointed out very clearly, in entry 84, Then central excise levy. Entry 92, union government is levying service tax. Now state has to levy tax on the manufactured goods, on the service portion. State also required to levy tax. Then they have to get power. For that purpose, amendment is needed. In a similar way, central government cannot enter into the area of state to make law, to frame particular law. Even center has no power to enter into the state list and make a law. Then, when the central GST will be imposed by the central government, I will come what is central GST, what is state GST, I will later go. Then they should get a power. Now from where the power derived? From the grandmother. So constitution is required to be amended. Without that, you cannot enter into one of the another's area. Concurrent list, undoubtedly, both are having the powers. But levy of tax, so far I discussed, then you will find the entries in the state list or in the central list. So that amendment is needed. Similarly, so various aspects are there where constitution amendment is required. For that purpose, this constitution amendment bill was introduced and it was passed in the May month of 2014 in the, May 15 before the Lok Sabha. It is placed before Rajya Sabha. You are aware when you are reading civics that amendment of constitutions, the parliament has given power to amend the constitution, not the state government. Now how the constitutions are amended? Constitution, a particular bill is to be presented before the lower house, that is Lok Sabha first, and is required to be passed with 2/3 majority. Thereafter it will be placed before the upper house, that is Rajya Sabha. Then 2/3 majority it is required to be passed. Thereafter, 50% of the states should agree. That means, in the state legislature, it is required to be placed before the state legislature, and the state legislature has to approve that with their majority. Thereafter, 50% of the states in India have to agree. Then it will be sent to the president for assent. And once the president has made an assent, thereafter the bill is passed and the enactment will come into picture. Now you all are aware that Rajya Sabha, the ruling party, is having a lesser majority. Rajya Sabha, after discussion, it was not passed. Therefore, for ratifications, they are unable to send to the states 50%. Therefore, the bill was pending before the Rajya Sabha. Now they are planning in winter session to put it before the Rajya Sabha. Let us hope so. That is not the subject. Now, questioning amendment. Now, all these amendments are required to be approved. Now, we will touch one by one amendment and what is the effect in our day-to-day practice. We will discuss these aspects. Now, first and foremost amendment is 246A, Article 246A. Now, 246A gives the concurrent power to both state and center to levy tax on supply and service of goods. See that. Uniqueness of this legislation is supply of goods, not the sale of goods. So we have to depart the sale, the term sale which we are understanding. Till date, we have to depart. Now, supply of goods is the event, is subject matter of levy. Supply of goods and service of goods. And services, I'm sorry. Supply of goods and services is subject matter of limit or supply. Now again, it is a matter of high debate, supply of goods. The question will arise, why this bill is pending before the Rajya Sabha? That I am touching. Supply of goods. If one particular farm, a company is having 2 units. One unit manufactures semi-finished goods and sent to other unit for finished purpose. Then it amounts to a supply in common parlance and in the general dictionary meaning. Sending from one particular branch to other branch, it's a supply only, not amounts to sale. Now the question arises whether tax can be levied on this. If yes, then what are the mechanisms further? From the second unit, when the finished product is emerges, when it is sent to outsiders, either for the purpose of sale or otherwise, then what will happen? So the incident which arises is the supply of goods. So the debate and discussion of moot question which is pending before the before the upper house is this crucial issue. Undoubtedly they are widening the base, supply of goods, not the sale of goods. You all are aware sale of goods means all the 4 essential ingredients, once it is complied then only it will be amount to sale of goods. So we are departing that. Even if it is not another person, even though price consideration is not there, even though title of the goods is not passed to other persons, still the taxable event arises. So that is supply of goods. Now, once this issue arises, there must be a clear legislation stating very clearly and properly what should be the supply in the legislation. Unless that term is clarified properly, then tax cannot be imposed, that is the objection. And even the bill, 2014 bill is silent about this. Other than the goods is defined. Goods is defined in Indian Constitution, Article 366. Under Article 366, goods is defined. Goods means any commodity, merchandise, the article is goods. Anything other than these goods is called service. That is defined. That is proper to my mind. Anything other than these goods, whatever may be, should be called as a services. That is specified in the amendment bill. Now the question arises, what about Article 366 clause 29A? Article 366 clause 29A, as we generally know, that deal sales, right to lease, right to works contract, sale to hotels, sales to their members, all these Article 366 clause 29A. Now whether it will remain or not is another a debatable question, though in the amendment bill 2014 they said that Article 366 clause 29A will not be omitted. Now the moot question here arises, then how we will have to look into this article. Article 366 29A says that for the purpose of tax, sale of goods includes all these items. And in the last line you will find either it is a sale of goods, delivery of goods or supply of goods.